Saturdays she was going to Hanuman temple that side, and Sundays she used to come here. So she was just explaining that if you want to get your material desires fulfilled, you must always approach God, and you must approach God in the right way. If you don't approach God in the right way, then God does not fulfill your material desires. So I was trying to explain to her that in actual fact, what is real religion? What is real religion? What is the topmost religion? Of course, there are many religions. There are religions which recommend that you should do this, and if you do this, you get that, and if you do X, you get Y, and so on and so forth. But what is real religion? What is real religion? Because I remember my friend's father had a heart attack and he was admitted in Bridge Candy Hospital. So when I went to see him, I said, "Why don't you pray to God? You'll get more peace of mind." He said, "I don't believe in God. Because all I know about people are they're praying to God that God give me this, God give me that." And this has turned me away from religion, because I feel that if God exists, He is certainly not sitting up over there to fulfill all our petty little desires. And he says, "My auntie does so many novenas and she does this and she does that, and she feels that her desires are fulfilled by this saint and that saint." I don't believe in all these things. So that has turned me off religion completely. So I was explaining to this neighbors of mine the same thing that I explained to my friend's father, that what is the topmost religion? What is the topmost religion? In fact, in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is clearly stated what topmost religion is. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is said that savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhok saje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasiddhati. He doesn't say that the topmost religion is Hinduism or Islam or Jainism or Judaism or Sikhism or Christianity. He doesn't say any of those things. He says the topmost religion is that religion which helps you to develop love of God. That is the definition of the topmost religion. The topmost religion is that religion that helps you to develop love of God. That is the topmost religion. And furthermore it says that for this religion to fully satisfy you, it must have two characteristics. That the topmost religion has got two characteristics. What are these two characteristics? One characteristic is that it should be unmotivated, and the other is that it should be uninterrupted. That it should be uninterrupted and it should be unmotivated. I remember in the last Bhagavad Gita course we had, one young lady was brought by her friend here for the course, and afterwards she was telling him that, I come from a very pious family. And it's true that we go to Nathdwara and we worship Krishna and all these things. But, she said, what I don't understand is that throughout these 7 days lectures that he was conducting, he was saying again and again and again that you must do everything for Krishna. He said, yes, we worship Krishna in the morning, we do seva in the afternoon, in the evening, we chant little bit of round here and there, but then we lead a normal life. So I said, what's a normal life? So we go out, we see movies, we watch video, we watch television, we have parties, we do all these things. So I explained to her that what is the meaning of true religion. True religion is that it is uninterrupted. What do you mean by uninterrupted? Uninterrupted means religion becomes your life. That is true religion. Religion is not 10 minutes in the morning for God and 10 minutes in the evening for God, and if you get a little time in your lunch break, you can add a 2-3 minute bonus over there. Not like that. True religion is religion that begins and ends from throughout your waking hours. It begins from the time you get up and it continues till the time you sleep. Through all your conscious moments, you are remembering God. It's not that you pray to God for some time in the morning and then turn on the TV set and you watch Hayagir for some time, forgetting all about Krishna, and then after some time you may go for a cocktail party and again you've forgotten all about Krishna, and then when you come back again you remind yourself about Krishna. No, that's not true religion. That's not the topmost religion. The topmost religion is that it is uninterrupted. That means from beginning till the end you are constantly submerged and absorbed in thoughts of God. The very food that you eat, the prayers that you say, when you go to work you are remembering God. If you are working at home you are remembering God. When you are dealing with your husband or wife you are remembering God. When you are dealing with your children you are remembering God. And nothing that is likely to make you forget God is allowed to come in your life. That is the meaning of uninterrupted. So topmost religion has two characteristics. One is it's uninterrupted. This is what I've already discussed. And the second is that it is unmotivated. Unmotivated religion is the topmost religion when it is uninterrupted. What do you mean by unmotivated? Unmotivated means that we do not ask God for anything. We do not ask God for anything. This is the meaning of unmotivated religion. But people are always asking God for something. I remember there was a song, I think it was by Aretha Franklin. Oh God, will you give me a Mercedes Benz? My friends, they all drive Porsches, I must make amends. So people are always asking God, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. But the topmost religion means you do not ask God for anything. Anything. Nothing you should ask God for. This is the definition of true religion. It should be uninterrupted and unmotivated. And what do we mean by unmotivated? The best example is given to us by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself when he comes in the guise of a devotee. And what does he say? He says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam va jagdish kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhaktir ahaituki tvai. Na dhanam, I don't want wealth. Who in this room can say that with a clean and honest heart? I don't want wealth. He says, I don't want any wealth. Na janam, I don't want any followers. See, first you want wealth. When you don't want wealth, you say, okay, I have taken a religious life and now I have abandoned wealth. But now what do you want? Now you want followers. If you don't have followers, you're not happy. So he says, no, I don't want wealth, I don't want followers either. He says, na dhanam, na janam. Then you may say you don't want followers either. But what happens? Sooner or later, if you are not strict in your spiritual life, if you are not genuine at heart, you fall down. What happens? You get captivated by a member of the opposite sex. So he says, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam. I don't want beautiful women either. I don't want wealth, I don't want any number of followers, I don't want beautiful women either. But let's say you have crossed these three hurdles. Neither you want wealth, neither you want fame, neither you are tempted by the opposite sex. Then there is still one thing that remains. And what is that thing? You pray to God that, oh God, please relieve me from this place of misery. This is dukhalayam ashashvatam. You said so yourself. This is anityam sukham lokam. This is a place of misery. I don't want to come back here. So God, please give me mukti, give me moksha. Take me to Golok or Vaikunt or wherever, whichever place that you may have in mind for me. But don't send me back here, anywhere but this world. So when you pray to God for wealth, you pray to God for followers, or you pray to God for members of the opposite sex to entertain you, or you pray to God that, okay, I don't want all these things, but God, please deliver me from this world. You want moksha. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows that he is rejecting all these things. He says, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam va jagdisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhaktir ahaituki tvai. He says, I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want beautiful women. He says, I don't even want to be liberated from this world. I simply want to come back again and again and again. I want to be reborn again and again and again so that I can serve you. So this is the example he gives of the topmost religion. That there is no desire for material things of this world, no desire for bhukti, and there is no desire for mukti either. If you don't want bhukti, you say, I want mukti. And there are those who are satisfied with having siddhi. But all these things, three things, are obstacles to the development of true religion. It has been said that bhukti, mukti, siddhi, sprihayavat, pishachi, riddhi vartate, tavad bhakti sukhas yatra, sukham abudhayo bhave. That if you have in your heart these three wishes, one which is desiring enjoyment in the world, one which is desiring spiritual powers or potency to perform miracles like siddhis, and the third is the desire to be liberated from this world. As long as these three wishes are seated in your heart, true religion, true love of God can never dawn in your heart. So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, that true religion is like this. It should be completely unmotivated, even without having a desire for liberation, which is indeed a very difficult or tall order. Furthermore, it has been said in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that Anya Bhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. anukulyena bhaktir uttama. It has been said that when you pursue love of God, then even the pursuit of knowledge, jnana, when we are pursuing bhakti, we want to be convinced about the philosophy, we want to hear more, we want to acquire knowledge. He says, no, reject even the pursuit of knowledge. Karmadya anavritam, even fruitive activities, reject all fruitive activities, reject all knowledge, and pursue bhakti in a pure heart. That is known as the topmost religion. So in the pursuit of God, even reject religion in the form, when it comes in the form of knowledge, or even abandon ritualistic activities, even if they are religious activities, so that you can pursue bhakti with a pure heart. So this is the meaning of absolutely devoid of all kinds of desire. So you might say that fine, it's all right. You are abandoning wealth, you are abandoning women, you are abandoning followers, you are abandoning liberation from cycle of birth and death. But look here, you want love of God, and when you have love of God, what happens? You see God everywhere. This is what is said in the Bhagavad Gita, that when you have love of God, you see God everywhere. So you are asking for the most expensive thing. That you might think that you are being without desire, but although you are imagining that you are worshipping without desire, you are actually worshipping with the topmost and the most expensive desire, to love God and see Him everywhere. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anticipating that people will talk like this, he says in his Shikshashtakam that he says, I don't even want to see you everywhere. If you so desire that you want to treat me roughly in your embrace, and if you so desire that you will not be present before me, even that I am willing to accept. Ashlishiva padratam pinastu mam adarshanam mam hatam karotu va yatha tathava vidhatu lampato mat prananathastu sayavanapar. That, O Lord, you will always be my worshipful Lord, even if you treat me roughly in your embrace. Even if you treat me roughly and neglectfully in your embrace, I am still going to be worshipping you. Even if you make me broken hearted by not being present before me, that means I have abandoned the world, but I don't have you because you have abandoned me also. Even that I don't mind, because you shall be my worshipful Lord unconditionally. So this then is the standard of the topmost religion. The standard of the topmost religion is that it should be completely uninterrupted. Not only it should be uninterrupted, it should be unmotivated. Unmotivated for things of this world, unmotivated for acquiring spiritual powers or potencies, unmotivated with the desire for liberation. And finally, even unmotivated to the extent that you don't even mind if God Himself is not present before you, or you are not able to see God in things around you. Even that you should be willing to abandon. That is the extent to which you have to be completely free of desire. So when you explain this to people, they say, that's a very, very tall order. What can we do? You may say that your religion is like this, but then what am I supposed to do? Because my heart is filled with material desire. I have material desire coming out of my ear. In fact, the other day, one of my friends was telling me, he says it's good that we should have somebody to teach us about spiritual life. In spiritual life we should have a guru. But we should also have a guru in material life who teaches us how to make money. We should have both gurus. He was just telling me this. So what to do if you are filled with material desire? You cannot hope to achieve that standard where you are completely devoid of material desire. Then how can you match the standard of the topmost religion? As a matter of fact, we are here in this world because of material desire. So that's not surprising that all of us have material desire. In fact, it would be surprising if we didn't have material desire. Because if we didn't have material desire, then probably we wouldn't be belonging here. The fact is, we have material desire, and that's why we are here. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that we are in fact in this material world, which is 1/4 of creation. And why are we here? We are here because of material desire. And it is material desire that keeps us here. And foolish though we are, we are unable to let go of our material desires, therefore we are not able to escape from this world.